Unemployment, deficits, gas prices are all down. Jobs, wages, and the rate of the insured are up. The United States of America right now has the strongest, most durable economy in the world. We're going to impose a tax on a barrel of oil, imported, exported, so that some of that revenue can be used for transportation, some of that revenue can be used for the investments in basic research.
That was President Obama touting America's progress and then calling for a huge tax on oil. But here are your facts. Today we got employment data, unemployment number down to 5%, but it mostly reflects millions that have fled the job market. 151,000 jobs added last month. That was way below the consensus estimates. And some argue that up to 70% of those jobs were minimum wage jobs. Joining me now, Morgan Ortagus, Ross Gerber, and Brian Brenberg. Professor, let me start with you. Let's start with the jobs picture, the employment picture. You know, listen, it's been a tough slog here. Yeah. We've had consecutive months of private sector job growth, but never that explosive growth like we saw under Ronald Reagan.
That's right. And you know, it's so funny to think that we're sitting here talking about how great the jobs report was because it missed lowered expectations by 30,000 jobs. I mean, talk about an age of diminished expectations. You look at the report and you don't see anything really terrible here, but you just don't see anything to really get excited about.
But there's nothing really explosive there.
There's
a lot of retail jobs, a lot of restaurant jobs.
No, it's just, this is okay, fine. It's more of the same, but when are we going to get something that actually drives real economic growth in the country?
You know, Ross, still, you know, the president, he knows how to spin it, though. And you know, he talks about the consecutive months of private sector job growth and all of these things that make it sound and look pretty good. But I don't think the average person feels the sort of flowery nature that the president put out there today.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think the bigger issue is all the numbers we're talking about are lagging indicators. And the president needs to think about the future, not where we are. And the economy isn't growing that fast. It's growing fine, but it could easily go the other way as much as it can go up. And there's more risk to the downside. So a lot of his proposals, I think he thinks about these things, but he doesn't think about how it will affect real-life jobs and the real economy. We need lower gas prices to help stimulate the economy. It doesn't make any sense to make them higher now for no reason, and then the government reinvests that money they take from us very poorly. So it doesn't make any sense to do these kind of things.
We all know about Solyndra, but people should know about things like the Ivan power plant in California. A big, giant solar power plant that cost $3 billion, over $2 billion came from the taxpayer. You know how many permanent jobs it created? 80. 80 permanent jobs. The president is talking about destroying another fossil fuel industry after coal, Morgan. It's a scary prospect. Ultimately, those are great jobs we're talking about kicking people out of.
The White House admitted today that these proposals are not realistic and that there's no way they're going to get passed through Congress. But they say that putting this $10 per barrel tax on will go to the oil companies. Well, what happens to that? Everyone knows that that gets passed down to the consumers. Some people think that that could mean as much as adding 25 cents a barrel, a gallon, excuse me, whenever you're filling up that car. Who does that hurt? That hurts working families. So I actually think that he put Hillary Clinton in a sort of precarious situation today. Because if he's getting this conversation going, if you're talking about raising gas rates, that's hurting people who are making $30,000 a year, $50,000 a year, and trying to raise 3 or 4 kids.
But when he was running for president, he said that certain things necessarily had to happen like that, higher energy prices and things like that.
Then he should try living off 35 grand a year and raising 4 kids and see what it's like when his gas bills go up.
The economy, where do you think we are with the economy?
You know, like you said, it's sluggish growth. We haven't seen a big explosive change. That means I don't think the Fed's going to do anything. Certainly March, April. They talked about wanting to hike rates 4 times this year. I don't think that's going to happen at all. Things just aren't popping. They aren't popping.